This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the Antoine Dupont of website builders.
Good question. 200 weeks ago, we published our big, huge, deep dive into the 2023 Rugby World Cup final. And 12 hours later, I woke to an email telling me World Rugby had had the video taken down, removed from YouTube, alongside an address to contact someone to follow up on this. It was the dead email of an employee who left World Rugby more than a year ago. What followed has been a fortnight of empty chaos and radio silence, press attention and attempted diplomacy. Despite guarantees people would be in touch 2 whole weeks ago, I'm yet to hear from the relevant teams inside World Rugby. It's been a very slow-moving, ongoing process, mostly comprised of me sitting around checking my emails to see if this person got back to me or that person finally passed me along. As things stand right now, we're seemingly not just no close to getting the video back online at ideal circumstances, but no close to myself and Will having any kind of clarity on this situation, on what circumstances the removal came, on how and where it happened, on whether we'd be able to use footage on a video on Portugal's World Cup in the new year or in the Moments of the Year video later on, or, the video on the Ireland-New Zealand quarterfinal we were planning to do around this time, or whether there are any ways we can help them and work with them to try and make this whole thing as smooth as possible. We received quite a few media requests from broadcasters and publications all over the world, and I personally turned them all down, as I didn't want to step on any toes whilst the process was ongoing. I didn't want to get in the way of anything or just be kind of shouting in the corner, as I believe this can and should be a symbiotic relationship with World Rugby. Things on their end are much more complicated than ours. I don't want to undermine that, but I'm hopeful at some point at least we'll hear something and I can tell you all more. But in the meantime, there's really only 2 answers to the questions people keep asking. Number 1, I spoke to a couple of specialists on the legal angle and they advised me not to re-upload the video anywhere else. And number 2, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm waiting on World Rugby to get back to me. Almost all queries can be solved by one of those 2 answers. Give it a go. Can I post it to Patreon? Why is George's kit purple now? Will Tommy Bow ever lift that restraining order? Why did my dad leave? Can I prove Bill Beaumont broke into my house, smeared the words "Rugby values" onto the wall in Gus Pichot's shit, then cleaned it up himself to prove a point? Virtually any question at all. And for those it didn't answer, from my experience, you can normally resolve them by just sitting and thinking warmly about Mike Tadger for around 36 seconds. However, it's been a demanding few weeks, so personally I decided to go one step further than that and headed to Squarespace. Desperate to stretch my love for the Portugal hooker out into the most protracted, comforting form possible, I started building a website, and one that might look almost as beautiful as the man himself. That was the goal, at least. I was able to scan their huge range of themes and look for one that gave off almost the same cuddly dad bod look that Tadger himself does. And Squarespace's wide range of features once you start building that website was just as dynamic as Tadger's range of exceptional skills. I was adding members-only areas for fans of Mike Tadger in no time to come together, have chats, read stuff. I added a newsletter for folk that need that Tadger balm in their inbox once a working week. And I was also able to redirect them to my endless gallery of pictures of Mike gosh darn Tadger, the world's warmest front row forward. All so easily constructed on Squarespace, a place that makes building a website just calming, simple, and easy. And if you want to have the same calming time building a website without any of the hassle of HTML, then please head to the link in the description and use the offer code SQUIDGRUGBY to save yourself some money on top of it all, which is another very calming thought. And speaking of thinking warmly, whilst we're having a rare moment on this channel away from explaining the 1322 for the 160 millionth time, I want to take this chance, just while we're doing this, we're at the end of not just a hell of a year, but the channel's first full World Cup cycle. It's like midway through the previous one, and the 6th season of Japanese sex fong names, to just say thank you. I recorded the more rambly version of myself saying this outside the Stade de France a few days before the World Cup final, but the journey this channel has taken has been genuinely remarkable and mad, and has meant the world and changed my life in so many endless ways. I first started posting stuff I made on the internet when I was about 7 years old, publishing daft little stories and little videos I made with Lego, and I don't think anything I ever made got over maybe 100 views at best over a decade of doing this shit. I heard it was more than a decade, like 15 years or something. I put together the first Squid Rugby video of a period of pretty ropey mental health, I think you'd say, right off the back of what I believe they call some personal shit. See one of the questions I asked earlier. And after posting it on Reddit and sending it to Lee from the Blood and Mud podcast /blog at the time, who'd very kindly published a few pieces by me in the moments previous, he then kindly retweeted it. I came back a few hours later to see the video at 200 plus views, with a dozen or so comments, all of them largely positive. It was genuinely, at the time, quite overwhelming, quite amazing. I never saw this coming, and things just snowballed from there. The channel hit 1,000 subscribers after just 3 videos. It's a surprise I still haven't quite got over. I still can't quite make sense of it a lot of the time. I know some YouTube types set goals for subscribers or view count or whatever and looking to build that, but I've never really cared. This channel surpassed my wildest expectations so quickly. I never even had the chance to do it. I never could have imagined this. I started making these videos for the love of it because I just really love making stuff I'm proud of. And as it's gone on, I've tried to do everyone watching proud and hopefully return the investment you've made by giving me your time and attention, by turning out stuff that's of, I'd like to think, the highest quality possible, certainly the highest quality that we're capable of, rather than just view farming hashtag content. Over the last few years, this has transformed from a solo task to a joint pursuit after I brought on board my brother Will in December 2021. Everything, and I mean literally everything you've seen on the channel over the last few years has only been possible because of the incredible hard work Will has put in as well. Having to learn new skills from a standing start and put so much of himself in to try and keep these videos pumping out and still hopefully being strong. Even the videos I've put out solely on my own since then, and I think there's only about 3 or 4, have been only possible because Will was off editing something else or dealing with the audio or helping prep for whatever came next. He's been brilliant and vital to the channel as an operation, rarely receiving the credit he deserves because I think it's my voice people are hearing, so they've overlooked that. I initially brought Will in because I burnt myself out real bad. During the Six Nations in 2021, I promised a video in every single game and I pushed myself way beyond my own limits. I was sleeping about 3 hours a night and only stopping work to boil the kettle. So focused on getting videos done, I just broke myself to a degree I don't think I realised until I got pretty badly ill later that year and noticed it was the first time since I started the channel I'd taken consecutive days off working, never mind a full week, just what most people call a weekend. Over the last few months, with the enormously demanding 20 World Cup preview videos and then the World Cup itself, I think I speak for both of us when I say we've burnt ourselves out again pretty bad. It's a cycle I think we've fallen into that I want to very much break. And that's partly why I want to say this. I want to take some time to get back to exactly the stuff that drove me to start the channel in the first place a few years ago and made Will excited to jump in almost 2 years ago. The thing is, we both really, really love rugby. It's kind of the MO around this place. And over the next year, instead of the usual big match reports, contemporary stuff, and constant reflections on the latest games, the formats that have come to define the channel over the last few years, we're going to switch things up a bit, at least for a little while. We're not getting rid of things, but we're going to add and change a little bit. To give an example, right? During this year's Six Nations, there was a big debate over whether Owen Farrell and Marcus Smith can work together. So instead of doing so why does England lose to whoever, we might have done a video instead, say, on whether the Smith-Farrell combo can work together. Or looked, I don't know, purely at how France were different with Flamont in the second row as opposed to Willemse. Or maybe we picked up an offensive trend that's coming into play. Or maybe if it was a really outstanding game, we did still cover that and look into it in detail as we have before. But we wouldn't oblige ourselves to cover every game and cover a few games every weekend. The demands of the rugby calendar mean we have a huge list of unmade video ideas stretching back 3 or 4 years. Ideas that excite the two of us, but we couldn't cram in because instead we have to pick up on the latest game taking place that weekend and we can just never find the time to get to that idea. In 2024, we're going to chase the kind of content that excites us more rather than the stuff that we feel we're supposed to be producing. That means we might let a few more big games go unmentioned and in pass, but hopefully in return you'll get some really exciting passion projects, deep dives, and untold rugby stories pulled and examined, as well as a few other projects away from the channel itself. Because it's no secret the sport is currently sitting in something of a sticky patch. And through all of you choosing to engage with our stuff, a platform of sorts has built. And it's a platform I want to use as best we can. Whether it's the struggle the tier 2 nations are going through with the World League and everything coming into place, the underfunding of the women's game in so many nations, if not all of them, fans left without a club to support more recently, or the endless social issues, the way the game is shunned, insulted and spat on its queer fans, particularly trans folk, the disgusting racial issues we've seen make headlines this very week, or rugby's never-ending class struggles, I want to take proper time to examine what, if anything, the channel, something that's sitting in this space within this sport, can do with its associated resources to try and make rugby a better and more welcoming place. It's something that really matters to me, and I want to take time to approach it, attack it, and try and do the best we can. Because the journey this channel has been on has been enormous, baffling, and so exciting. But it's also been exhausting. A new era of Squid Rugby stuff starts next week with a very special tribute to a legend. Ooh, I wonder if anyone can guess who it is. Before we spill into the Moments of the Year and Team of the Year in December. And then, who knows, in the new year. But in the meantime, if you're one of the people asking that question, asking, so what's going on? I want to say, just this once, there is a third possible answer to one of your queries. And whatever it is, it's thanks to you, to every single one of you who's watched one of these videos down the years. And I still can't believe it. I still can't understand it. But most of all, I still can't thank you all anywhere near enough.
Sur le coup de pied tout à l'heure avec le grand sprint, le sprint avec Etienne Falgou qui vous a regardé d'ailleurs un petit peu en souriant.